Good evening. Welcome to Write It Out Wednesday. It is March, 3rd. It's our first Wednesday. It's March 3rd, 2021, our first Wednesday in the month, and we are so excited to see you tonight. I am Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. And Write It Out Wednesday is the day that we put you back at the top of your writing list. So many times there are a lot of things that get in the way of us being able to sit down and write or to record our thoughts, that we try to set aside just a little time just to put you back at the top of your writing list. Hey, Brenda, welcome. Good to see you tonight. And so tonight we're going to be talking about impact, and in particular, as it relates to storytelling. For those of you who follow me or on my list, you're going to get an email tomorrow that talks about what impact have books had on your life. And as a book coach, as an author, books are a very big part of my life. And, I know that it's the same for you. And so tonight I want to talk about 10 reasons why we should tell our story. Now, I'm always talking about it's time to tell your story. When I meet with clients, when I talk to people, when I go live, and even just in the street, I'll be like, have you told your story yet? So telling your story is actually part of also being human. That even from grade school on up, it's like, write about what did you do over your summer vacation? What did you do over the holidays? Even, director I used to work with, he often says, after, did you watch the Golden Globes? Did you watch this? Did you see this movie? Like, what did you do? They want to hear the story of your life. They want to hear about your adventures. If you go on vacation, like, how was it? How did it go? What did you see? What did you do? So storytelling is part of our nature as humans, that we get to tell stories. We get to share our adventures with other people because that helps connect us. And so let's just jump right in. And I've got 10 points tonight, so I hope you have your pens and pads out. Hey, Cindy, good to see you. That we are talking tonight about why telling your story is important. We're going to go through 10 points because it really relates to impact. And like I said, I'm going to be sharing an email out to my list tomorrow about the impact that books have had even in my own life. So one of the first ways that storytelling is so key in our lives is because it helps us transform our lives. That so many times, if we just sit down and we take a look, just really look at, what we've come through, like how we've journeyed through life up to this point, we realize how transformative certain experiences have been. So being able to share those things, being able to write them down, being able to put them into writing, to record them, to put them, I know I live in the DMV, as we say here, the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And so the African American History Museum is here. And so they have this wonderful portion of that exhibit of being a part of the Smithsonian there is that you can record your own family history in there. They provide a place where you can go in a room and just record your own family's history orally, which was part of the history of our communities. And so, storytelling is key. It helps us transform who we are, what we've been through, how we see ourselves. And so making sure that that is a part of your storytelling, like what, I ask my students, even in my course, like, what transformation are you looking to have? What is it that you're trying to do? Because there should be a point, right, ladies? There should be a point, a hook to your story. So what is the transformation that you're looking to get out of it? Because that's part of storytelling, that it has to go somewhere, it has to take you somewhere. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, it's your family's history. We kind of touched on that a little bit, but we just celebrated Black History Month in February. March, they dedicated to Women's History Month. And the stories that have never been shared are coming out. Every Black History Month, every day, Black History 24/7, okay? Women's History Month, women, people of color have been doing things forever, that have made an impact on the world. And yet those stories have not been told. And so every single day there's something you're like, do you know who created the ironing board? Because before it was just a square piece, rectangular piece of wood, but it took this African-American woman who put a corner on that, on that board and made it so that you can get materials through it. So different inventions, what's the story of that? Many of you had heard the story of Henrietta Lacks, that her cells, the HE from Henrietta, the LA, and her last name Lacks, HeLa cells are used all over the world to cure cancer. Okay, this woman sells. That's a story that only recently came out, and the family is right here in the Baltimore area. So what are the stories? What's the history of your family? I've shared with some of you guys that my mom's brother, my uncle, is one of the Friendship Nine, part of a group of young people back in 1960 who were part of the lunch counter sit-ins. That they went and they were integrating the lunch counters when people of color, Black people, could not go and sit down in a restaurant and have a cup of coffee, eat a meal. And even though it may seem like eons ago, it really, it's my uncle, he's still alive. I can talk to him. That these are the family histories, the stories that we really have to tell. And so, it's important that we remember them and we share them, particularly as we have relatives who are getting older. We're losing lots of legends, like Vernon Jordan just passed away. I remember, talking to him on the street. His office was right around the corner from when I worked downtown. And so being able to see these illustrious people, but even in your own life, these people are just as illustrious. They may not have a big name, but they're still making a difference, creating transformation. Think about, that daycare provider, who watched all the kids on the block. Some of them, sometimes, money was tight in months. Can I pay you next week? Whatever it is. But she loved those children. She kept those children. She provided and took care. There's a story in there. So shout out to all the daycare providers and homeschool providers who are taking care of the kids, who are providing those necessary, needs for those kids while parents have to work. Okay, so that's two. It's part of our family history. It's transforming our lives. But number three, what is another reason why storytelling is such a major part of our lives and part of really the human story? And it's really so that we can go beyond where we are. It helps us to transform to a new place. That sometimes, telling our story helps someone to rise above where we are to where we can be. I was watching Masterclass, and it was Tyler Perry's story. And he said he just knew that he had to keep going. Like the first time he put his show on in Atlanta after moving to Atlanta, he put his rent money, he put his car payment, he put everything he had into that show. And he thought 1,200 people were coming, but only 30 people came. And he put that show on every year for 7 years until finally, in a snowstorm in Atlanta, that it was a sold out crowd. And it was because he heard a voice that kept saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. He had to transcend. He had to rise above what he saw, what he was feeling, what he was losing. Because by that point, I think he was sleeping in his car, because I know he said he was in the car for about 3 years because he was putting everything. He had a job, but he was still putting everything he had because he knew that show was something that he wanted to do. He had to get that play. It was called I Know I've Been Changed. I was his first stage play. And look at where Tyler Perry is now. Tyler Perry's got a whole movie studio, okay? He's got 40 plays or 40 shows or something. He's got huge numbers on all kinds of things. And he's been doing it for 20 years now, a little over 20 years. But it was because he didn't give up. And he was 28, so for 7 years prior to that. So he was still a young man, when he was just still putting everything into his dream, but now he's got that amazing studio that he has stages that honor the greats who came even before him. So those of you out there, who are writing your stories, it's like your story will help you transcend the place that you are. It will help you rise above that place that you may think that it's not working. It's not going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't know when I'm going to do this. But the thing is, you have to keep pressing forward. That, the thing about, triumph and courage and making it is that you overcome something to get there. Most of us, it's like we aren't handed anything on the silver platter. We don't have the silver spoons, at birth. That's like, da, 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 you're here and your life will be easy. No, that there's going to be some hardship. There's going to be some things that we have to get beyond in order to get to the place we need to be. But often that makes us stronger. So that's going to help with another point. So I won't jump ahead. So that was 3. Number 4, it helps you to make a difference in the world. Okay. That our world is so much more connected now because of social media. That before, how many of you remember growing up, maybe, where if you got a long distance call, like I lived in New York at the time, my grandparents were in the South, and it's like, grandma called, oh God, everybody be quiet. It's a long distance call, and it was just like, because it was a huge thing. One, it costs money. Like long distance was not a part of your normal phone service. That was extra. So you weren't really talking to people a lot. It was just like, once a year, twice a year, Mother's Day, Christmas, Happy New Year, your birthday. That's it. That was the only time you talked to people out of town. Other than that, you wrote a letter, you sent a card or something, but there was no, talking to people long distance. But the thing is, it's like, look at what we're able to do across the world. Like, I work with people in other countries now. People take my class that don't even live here. And so it's an amazing thing that the work you do, that when you do the thing that you've been called to do, when you step out in faith, when you step out on the promise that there's something in you that's pulling you towards your goal, but it's pulling you, that's saying, no, keep going, that impact can be worldwide. There's a book out right now called Caste. It talks about, how by putting people in the caste system, you may have heard of it when it comes to the country of India, but even in our own country, that, people are, put in place based on how they were born, as if you can never rise above it. But lots of people come to America because this is a place where it doesn't matter. Like, you can rise above it. That there are, of course, obstacles and things that have been structural in this country, but other people who come from systems where it's just ingrained, like, that's it. You were born here, you're never going to leave here. And so they come here or they go other places where that system is not in place. Because, think about how much of a impact that system has had in limiting. There's a thing called the law of the lid that says you can't rise higher than the people that you're in community with, like, or the people who are leading you. If they're only this high, you can't go higher. But the thing is, who's to say that? Like, who said that? Like, people put those limits on you because they don't want you to go higher than you. But you should be around people who are excited no matter where, like, that they're pushing you. It's like, because for some people, this might be it for them. Like, their skill sets, their talents, their gifts might only take them so far, but they're okay with that. But they see more in you, or they see something different in you that's like, you know what? You need to do this because you can go even further than I went, And then also, just thinking about Black History Month, like Katherine Johnson, those women from Hidden Figures, that because of their mathematical brain and the engineering brain, they got the men on the moon. Those were some hidden stories, but look at the impact on the world they've had because of their calculations, because they were literally human computers and they can add this stuff up and they could project, the trajectory of a spaceship going up to the moon, okay? Their gifts impacted the world because other people started using those trajectories, those numbers, those calculations, in order to get these other spaceships up and out there. We got satellites all over the world now, beaming in stations. That's why we're able to have news from all over the world. Watch TV and shows and connect in all over the world, It's the impact that we're making, Yes, absolutely, Cindy. When you're the smartest person in your group, you need a different group. And that's the thing. It's like you need people who are pulling you up, not keeping you where you are. You need people to push you. If there's nobody pushing you beyond where you are, it's the wrong group. You need to sometimes be in some uncomfortable rooms. Like my mentor, it's like there'll be conversations I'm a part of that's like, I'm listening. I'm not there yet, but I'm in the room. I'm a part of the conversation because it's getting in me so that when I do get there, that I'll be okay. That sometimes you do have to get out of that comfort zone because the thing is the comfort zone is just that. It's comfortable. It wants to keep you where you are. And a lot of people don't like anything that's going to make them uncomfortable. They don't want any uncomfortable conversations. They don't want any comfortable furniture. They want all their chairs, their sofas, everything for you to fall into it. But I'm one of those people, if I go shopping for furniture, I'm like, if I sit in the chair and I fall all the way down, I'm not buying that because I'm like, it's not going to last. Everybody that's coming, you're going to need a hoist to get up out of it. It's like, that doesn't work for me. It might work for someone else, but that doesn't work for me because it's too comfortable. You're like, you'll never get out of it. And then it's like, I don't know, it's like, what's the memory foam maybe? It puts grooves into your body so you keep falling back into that same place till you never get out of it because that memory foam, it remembers the contours of your body, so to speak. And so does being in comfortable places. People you might be around, they know what you like. They're like, girl, I got your stuff. I got, guys, like, we're going to have your stuff when we get there. But it's like, but is that going to move you further? Exactly. Is that going to move you to the place you need to be? Probably not. So we're going to move on from there because we transcending that situation, okay? So number 5, what is number 5 about storytelling? It's about broadening our perspective. So many times we get stuck, just like being comfortable, that we never leave where we're from. We never leave, we got the same set of friends, and not that anything's wrong with it, but we're not willing to like try different food. We're not willing to go on a vacation somewhere different or do anything beyond, nah, that's all. No, I don't do that. Nope. I'm Friday night, I'm home, like got my coffee, got my Coke, got whatever it is. It's like, and again, we're not saying you have to do something all the time, but be open, be a little flexible. Like sometimes, yeah, it's uncomfortable. Like I love to travel, and some of the places I've gone, it was like, okay, like this is a lot. But then you get to this amazing place because you walk maybe 4 miles to get there or something, and you're in there making mofongo or something. You're like, what? Or the view is just like you would have never got to that view if you hadn't climbed that mountain. So there's so many things that we can experience just by changing our perspective, going to a different place. It's like, I like the movie theater. We haven't been able to go to movies in a while. But the thing is, what else can you do? Maybe make a movie. How about that? Write a film, write a screenplay for a movie. It's like, that's storytelling because all movies are based on a story. You got to create something, right? And yes, we don't want the same old because it keeps you bored. When kids are like, I'm bored, it's because they're doing the same thing over and over again. But it's like when you start doing new things or you start meeting new people or you learn, you go to a different place, you see how somebody else does something. It's like, you're like, wow, I've never thought about that. And it allows you to grow because you're not going to grow doing the same thing. Like, even thinking about babies, it's like babies are constantly doing new things because they're new. They're like, I never did that before. They go from maybe nursing to a bottle to then moving, scooching. You watch all of how babies scooch and move and crawl, and that's a whole new thing. But they do it in all different ways because they've just figured out. And then once they figure out walking, they may fall 100 times, but they're going to not stop. They're going to do it until they do it, and then you're chasing them because now they're running, but the thing is, you have to expand your horizons. Don't limit yourself and don't allow others to limit you either. Like if you have people that's like, you want to go somewhere and they were like, no, I don't really want to. Go ahead. Go by yourself. That's one of the things that, I don't know, for some reason that people feel like you can't go places by yourself sometimes. And it's just like, if you don't have people who want to do, the things you want to do, it's okay for you to do it. You don't have to be like, well, I don't have money to go. Go. You are somebody. You can go enjoy your own company. That's something that we have to make sure. Hey, Tammy, good to see you. You have to learn to enjoy your own company because sometimes, like, everybody doesn't have to like what you like. But if you're willing to grow, if you're willing to expand, if you're wanting to do new things, then you have to be that trailblazer for yourself, because other people don't know what's inside of you. But if there's something pulling you and drawing you and causing you to want to do the next thing, then go ahead and do it. Because you're going to be the one that's going to have that experience, that's going to have that new horizon, that your mindset will begin to expand and grow. And then you're going to want to learn new things. And because in this life, you're always going to be learning. Everything can be a teachable moment. Everything can be like, what am I learning? Like, you shouldn't be in the same place year after year after year, at least not mentally, educationally, mind. Like, you should be growing, and hopefully not just physically, but you should be growing in the things that you understand. If you're in a career, what do you know or have learned to do differently that you didn't know before? With all this technology, have you learned some new tools? Have you learned some new platforms? Have you done some new things? Like, there's a lot of people on Clubhouse. Just join. Go see what they're talking about. It's a lot of amazing conversations going on, and you put your hand up. Be like, hey, I want to contribute. What's the harm? It's like you can learn something. There's so many conversations happening. But the thing is, so many times we get in a rut, we get in that comfort zone, we get in that memory phone, and we can't get up. And the more you can't get up, the more you're going to cause yourself not to be able to. And you're going to start watching the world pass you by, watching your friends, watching other people go beyond you, and then you're going to have regret. But it's like, we don't have to live with regret. Do what it is that makes you soar, that makes you smile, that gives you joy, and you'll watch the opportunities open up. You connect with people you would have never thought. Like, I have friends, like when I went to Greece, it was like we still connect on Facebook just because we all went to Greece. I didn't know any of these people. And I'm not even around any of these people. But we can still remember that amazing trip we took. And that we all have a love of travel. So that's something that connects us, even if you're not ever around these people, But it's like, you may meet them at another place and you can have, a drink with them. You can have a meal with them, break bread, because you have that connection now. And speaking of which, that's another thing, it helps you to create connections, okay? That when you tell your story, because actually, to come to think about, when I traveled, when I did those things and meeting people, you start saying, where are you from? So what do you do? And how do you do? And then you have family, or you're here by yourself. You go through all of that, and then you start telling your story. And as you tell your story, they tell theirs. And look how that storytelling is going back and forth. And you're getting enlarged because now you're learning more, because everyone comes from somewhere. What school did you go to? Oh, you went to private school? Oh, you went to boarding school? Oh, you went to this school? Oh, you were homeschooled? I mean, think about all the different stories just from that. And the thing is, like often when I work with my writers, like people say they have, they get word blocks and, they can't think about what they don't know what to write about. But it's like, but just think, everything can be a story. Like, just think, what happened today? I used to, have to do writing prompts where it was like, boom, they give you 3 words, you got to make up a story about it. But the thing is, or just think about 3 things that happen in your day to day. You got up, you ate breakfast, you watched the news. Okay, write me a story about that, And if you just take 10 minutes, you'll be amazed at what you can write about all the things that you learned, because sometimes the information is coming and we're just not aware of it. We're not conscious of it. It's just, but there are things that come sometimes that has impact on you, that really makes a difference. So what is it? What connections are you making through your stories? How can you connect to other people, with your stories? Like, that's how kids play. It's like, hi, my name is, I like to do that. You want to play jump rope? I want to play jump rope. Now you've connected, and kids do it, naturally. And it's just like, and we start pulling away from those things that we do naturally, because of rules, and now we old and get tired and jaded. And it's like, we gotta keep living. Live until you die. Okay. Live until you die. Live the best life you can until then, So what's another thing that can happen, And speaking of, issues and stuff, it's like, one of the issues that come up with storytelling is that, some of them are painful. Some of them keep us bound. Some of us keep us in those places. Hey, Stephanie, good to see you. Some of us keep us in those places that we really have to get out of, and telling that story, it's like, sometimes you got to take a deep breath, because you live on autopilot sometimes and you don't share, certain parts, you tell that very sanitized version of your life. And because you're holding things in, because you're never really, being honest with yourself and telling your full story, that, it starts affecting you physically. Like, I know someone that they are so bound because they've had to repress and suppress so much of their life because of the situation they're in. And it's like, it's painful sometimes to have conversations with them because, of how they're having to hold on to stuff, and I just wonder, like, how would their life be if they could be free? If they could be free of the pain, free of the different things that are holding them down, because, but because they're not free to even share their story, it's like, they're just existing to some degree. They may have good moments here and there, but for the most part, it's just like, let me just get through another day, just getting through another day. And it's like, and we have to learn how to, deal with those painful moments. And it's just like, and part of it is that it is going to be painful, that it's going to hurt a little bit or a lot, for that matter. But how do we keep going? It's like, one step at a time. It's like, okay, today I'm going to deal with this. And it might take everything in you just to deal with that one thing, but then, a little time goes by, you can deal with the next thing, because most of the time those things then just happen overnight. So you might need some time to get through them. But part of the process in your storytelling, and is getting it out. Sometimes just writing it out is the catharsis you need, is that freedom, that release that you need so that you can move forward. Because if it stays inside of you, it's like a wall, like you're encasing your whole body in this wall that won't let you move forward. And so writing your story, sharing that, is a way for you to move forward and and help you get to the other side. So that was 7. We've helped, we're here talking tonight about, why storytelling is important. What's the impact that you're making with your stories? And so number 1, it was like, it helps us to transform our lives. Number 2, that we get to tell our family's history. Number 3, our experiences and our stories help us to transcend the situations that we're in. That by telling our stories, we get to make a difference in the world. Number 5, that our stories help us to broaden our experiences, broaden our horizons. We get to see things in a different light because we're connected with other people. Number 6, and actually that was 6, the connections that we make. Number 7 is that it helps us to move beyond those painful parts of our story, so that we can get to the other side. And number 8, this is one of my favorite one, that it brings language alive. One of the great things about helping people to write their books is keeping things in their voice. It's like, I love that. It's like, and I laugh. It was like, for those of you who have watched Bridgerton or binge watch or however you watched it, it was just like, did you get your English accent back? Did you get your British accent back? Particularly for those, I like The Crown as well. So it was like, Philip, Margaret. And then you start, with, Simon and Daphne, and then you start talking, and it's just like, okay, are you really? But, I can imagine the books. So the books are going to be written in that kind of characteristic, English language, British, the Queen's English kind of thing. But also, I mean, there's so many books, like, I've read like Charles Dickens as a child, or Mark Twain, Huckleberry Finn and those kind of stories. But A Tree Grows in Brooklyn, one of my most favorite books. I still read it at least once a year. I try to read it. But the language in these books, any if you read Maya Angelou books, or different books, it's Zora Neale Hurston, like the language in these books, even Easy Rollins, but some of these stories, like the language, you feel the rhythm. Like language has a sound, has a movement to it, and so does your writing. So I know that with different people that I work with, that I listen for the rhythm in that, in their stories, in their writing, and I try to keep it going, because you're taking people on a journey, and so there's a rhythm that it's like water moving, like it's like the river, there's a movement, just like people sing, how they talk, that there's like, some people have a sing-songy way of talking, but life has a rhythm. And so when you write, flowing with the rhythm of your story, it's such an amazing feat that you're able to accomplish, and it does such great things, it frees you, it's like dance. Like I danced for many years, and dance has a rhythm. It's in your, your whole soul, your whole body can get into it. And in the same, like choosing the right words, using the right words, and the impact that it has on your reader. And so making sure that, you allow your words to bring the language alive, that I remember being in a class and reading certain things and just like wanting to run around a room. It was like, oh my God, I can't believe I just read that. Like, that was amazing, and it's just like words can do that. You're like, they're alive, like I wrote a poem called My Love Affair with Words. Like I was that child that used to read the dictionary for fun. Yes, I will admit that would have been me. But hey, I got a big vocabulary now. I love it. Okay. So, bringing language alive with your storytelling. And I shared earlier, we were talking about Black History Month, that many of the stories of the African-American culture was oral, and many other cultures around the world are oral histories. And so getting them in print now, making sure that we have the stories, like when Alex Haley wrote the book Roots. Like, when he got back to his ancestor, he was able to get the oral history. Like they taught, the griots, could recite generations, 20, 30, 40 generations of, and this one and this one and this one, just like in the Bible. And he begat this one and this begat, like Alex Haley was able to do that when he researched his family's history for the book Roots, and ultimately for the movie that came on TV, which was transfixed. It transformed this country. I remember it was like the late 70s, sitting in front of the TV every night. Like, you did everything you had to do so you could watch that 2 hours, every night. And it's since been redone, so it's like, that oral history, the language, when he learned certain words, how the people shortened the name of the Gambia River, to what it was, and, in their language, in their culture, in their dialect, and how that translated to what he was able to go back and find that it was. And so, just the living way that words can rise above a page, that words are truly alive. And so let them live through your pages. Don't pick the easiest words, the most common words. Pull that thesaurus out. It's even online. You don't even have to pull a book out, and go and use some other words. Make that language come alive, so that what you write leaps off the pages, because however it affects you, it's going to affect your reader in the same way. Okay. So that was number 8. Number 9, storytelling challenges us in how we view things, okay? It challenges how we view things, okay? Because many times when we read something, there's a book out, How to Be Anti-Racist, okay? And it exposes us, to a new way of thinking. It's like, how to not be a racist. Like, really? Like, am I? Like, and it makes you look at your opinions and values and views on things as to, am I this person, and because all people have biases, like, what are yours? That you may be biased towards dogs, but you hate cats. Like, your bias is against cats. It's like, so what, we all have something that we have biases towards, but how far does it go? Are you able to be challenged? Can anyone challenge what you believe, think, feel? There are some things that should be absolutes for you. That you should be very clear, like, even in your own values, like, these are my boundaries, these are my lines, I don't cross this, like, you should have principles in your business, like, this is how I work, I don't do this, I'm not available 24/7, like, different things that you have to put in place, and so you need to understand, that how you write, the things that you write, the books that you read, even the things that you allow into your own vessel, can challenge your opinions, can challenge your views, can challenge even how you see yourself. I have a book called, Listen to Your Life. I love that, by Valerie Burton. She has my same name. She spells it a little differently. But it's like, are you listening to your life? Are you listening to what's going on inside and how that is being portrayed on the outside? How do people experience you? How do things happen in your life? Like, what's going on? And so you need to be careful. And you need to be aware of how you are presented and how you are experienced by others, not just yourself. You may see you as this amazing, wonderful person, but everybody won't, and that's okay too. That we're not a fit for everyone, and everyone's not a fit for us. But the thing is, as I say, you'll find your tribe. Your tribe will be there, the people that you're connected to for whatever reason, and as we did in a live some time ago, that some relationships are for a season, some are for a reason, and some are for a lifetime. And knowing which one is which, so that you're not having lifetime relationships with people who were only supposed to be for a season or for a reason. It could have been just to get you from A to B, but now you're trying to do 20 years with them and you're wondering why it's not working out. It's like, you got to accept the different vicissitudes of life, as they say, and understand the season that you're in, because that person may not be able to go with you any further than where you are right now. But there's somebody else up ahead that's going to take you, and be with you for the next 20 years, or you may have a friend. Like, I have a friend that if we were to get together today, like, we don't see each other that much, our paths have gone different ways. But I guarantee you, if we got back together today, like, we would pick up right where we left off and things would be cool. We would still have the same fun and laugh and joke, but it's like, that's a lifetime relationship. It doesn't have to be an everyday thing, but it's one of those things that you connected at a point in your life that said, you know what, you're good people, like, wherever we end up in life, that we could still be friends, And then my final point for tonight, I had 10 points for you guys, so I gave you a lot today, so I hope you were writing them down. So our 10th point tonight is that, remember, your stories need to leave an impact. What impact are you making? For those of you who are in my course and writing a book, it's like, that's one of the points that I give you. Like, what is the impact? What is transformation? What are you saying? What is the point that you are making? What impact, what, residue even do you want to leave on the people? Like, you want them to feel you, to understand what you went through, and even to encourage them and help them to overcome, to get through, or even to laugh. Like, I have a couple clients and I just like, you know what? You are cracking me up. Oh my God, this is so funny. And the thing about it is, like, you have to write it the way it comes through you. You don't have to try to write like anyone else. Write it the way you write it. I'm truly missing my Zumba class. We used to do the dance, walk it out, to the song, walk it out, and it was like, and one of the lines in that is like, do it like you do it. Like, you got to do it the way you do it, not the way anyone else does. Not the way, you saw it, but it's like however it flows for you. Do it like you do it, okay? And I see you, Stephanie, you reconnecting with a friend after 30 years. I know. And it's just like, and it'll just happen. You don't have to plan somebody. Sometimes your worlds will just collide at a moment, and so we have to be open to those things and be flexible too. Because the thing is, and not think that anything necessarily happened. It could just be that it's just time for that to wrap up. We don't know how to let go of things, because we haven't been taught. Like, we think we got to hold on to everything tightly. But if you just hold things loosely, then it won't hurt as much. Because sometimes we're holding on to things we should have let go a long time ago. Can I get an amen? That we've held on to things that we should let go of 5, 10, 50, 150 years ago, but we thought that we were supposed to hold on to that thing. And the thing is, even with people, that we don't own people, okay? Like, America, we don't own people. It's like, let people be free. The thing is, it's just like, if it's meant to be, it'll work itself out, but when you're trying to hold on to something so tight, when you're trying to control people or things or situations, it's like, that's when the problems come. That's when situations start, going awry, and you don't want that, but the thing is, it's like, tonight we have been talking about how your stories are just amazing. Like, you got to tell your story, and it's important for the world to understand. We gave you 10 points tonight about why your stories have impact. We went through a number of things. They're transformative. They deal with your family history. They help you to rise above your circumstances. They make a difference in the world. It broadens your perspective. It helps you move beyond those hard parts in your life. It creates connections. It brings language alive. It challenges us in how we view things. And finally, it leaves an impact, okay? Because people remember stories. Like, for all the stories I tell, and even I tell in my course or when I do webinars and different things, people remember those stories, But it's like, that's actually one of the best parts of teaching, that you get to share your life. And other people, when they work with you, when they commune with you, when they're in community with you, they also share their lives with you. So I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. I am Valerie McDowell, your writer, editor, author, book coach, and consultant. And I will see you on the third Wednesday that we meet on the first and third Wednesdays for Write It Out Wednesday. And so join me, or come on. I can pop on at any time, drop you some tips, or give you just some helpful hints on how to stay focused and keep writing, because we've got some goals. We've got some books we want to publish. Oh, and shout out to Melody Kachumba. One of my clients, she just published her book. We just put it out this week. Okay. So, and she's already hit number 5 on the Amazon, brand new books coming out. So I'm like, well, bravo, but part of that is just one of the things I do to help the book get to those numbers. And so for those of you who are looking to write a book, or that somebody wants to write a book, I'll put a link down below if you want to have them reach out to me. Hey, lady, good to see you. And so I want to make sure that that you are getting value. Like, give me some love. Thank you for love. Give me some hearts, and always share the video. Let other people know what we're out here doing, because I want to help, let's see, 100 people. Let's get 100 books done. Okay. Let's get 100 people published this year. and we can do that. It's some ways we can do that. We can work that out, right? Because we're going to get you guys that's in the class. That's at least 10, 15 people, books coming out. And I think I'm up to 20. So we could get there. We got time. It's only March. We got plenty of time. All right. Anyway, until we meet again, be productive, be powerful, and always be you. See you next time. Bye.